this is episode 69 of my author's diary. I am an author of crime thrillers for women, and every week I take you through the ups and downs I go through as I try to write and publish new books. So go ahead right now and subscribe to my channel or click to follow me so that you won't miss when I'm doing another video. This week I am talking about preparing for Nanowrimo. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, I don't know why that music was appropriate because Nanowrimo isn't anything that's scary, right? So last year I did Nanowrimo for the very first time, and I was successful. I wrote 52,000 words of a sweet small town romance set in Old Town Tomball, and it was such an amazing experience, and I knew from that point on, every November I wanted to be a part of that effort. I wanted to have 1 month where I really completely dedicated myself to writing something brand new from scratch. Before you get to National Novel Writing Month, which is in November of every year, you have to go through October, and in October you prep for Nanowrimo, so it's called Preptober, and this video kicks off kicks off Preptober for me. Now, first of all, I went back through and thank goodness for these author diary videos because it was so cool for me to go back through my old videos from last year at this time and kind of see my thought process and things that I had said that I wanted to do and how much of that, like, I actually did not even do. So much for plans, right? So last year in 2019, I actually did a ride-along, right? So as I was writing my scenes, I posted them to my website. Yeah, that was an epic fail. For those of you who may have tried to read along with my sweet small town romance, I got about 50% of the way of the book, and then the characters' motivations had changed so much that most of the first half kind of had to be rewritten and tweaked to match up with the back half. And if I had just posted everything like it was, y'all would have been completely confused. Like, what just happened here, right? So I decided to stop posting the scenes, but I kept writing them, knowing that I would go back at some point in time and edit them and sync up the front part of the story to match up with the back part of the story. Newsflash. Still have not done that yet. So let's get to Preptober. So I thought I would brainstorm live with you guys watching. What exactly do I want to tackle for Nanowrimo this year? Because unlike last year, I was in the middle of writing. The Relentless Hero. I was like this close to being done with the draft of that book, and so I needed a break from all. Because if y'all read the Relentless Hero, it is intense. It is so much of bang bang and kidnappings and gun shootouts and explosions and just all kinds of stuff that was going on in that book, and it was really intense writing all of those suspense and thrilling and action type of sequence scenes, and I wanted to do something completely different. I was like, I'm going all the way to the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm going to write these sweet clean romances and see how I can do with that. Well, this year I am kind of in a similar point, right? So I finished writing The Fallen Hero at the end of September, and now I have to think about, okay, well, what do I want to work on for Nanowrimo, right? So let's do a little bit of brainstorming. And I have my little markers, and I have my little post-it pad right here. Please, I keep telling myself, Angel, do not end up writing on your wall. That would be like a disaster, right? So I'm going to start off with my header. Ooh, this looks ugly. Preptober. Okay. Yeah, so maybe not the best idea. Gotta make this a little fatter so y'all can even read what I've written. Because my walls are texturized, and that's kind of jacking up with this marker. So there we go. Preptober ideas. There we go. So the first idea, of course, is, the obvious, right? The obvious idea would be, okay, let's write the last book of Julian and Mina, The Unexpected Hero. my head, y'all, this was gonna look so much better. That is the obvious choice, right? Obvious choice. It's like, hey, Angel, no brainer. Like, why are you even doing this video? Why do you think that this brainstorming is even necessary? But let me tell you why. The Fallen Hero is currently with the editor, which means everything that I think happens in the book has not been looked at by any other human being but me. When you're a writer, having somebody else's perspective on your story sometimes results in major changes. At least that's been my experience, right? And so while I believe I know how the Fallen Hero is going to progress and what that story is going to be about and how it's going to end, until I get the comments back from the editor, I don't know if there's going to be massive overhaul changes necessary, which I don't think there'll be massive overhaul changes, but when you think about a book and you're in book 3 and you're weaving in all of these subtle details, the subtle details matter. They literally can change the trajectory of the next point of the story. And so I have to make sure that none of those subtle details end up getting changed in the Fallen Hero. So what's the point of even starting off trying to write the unexpected hero as part of Nanowrimo when I don't even have my editor's comments back to know how that book truly is going to flow and how it's going to end? I could end up writing a bunch of stuff in November that I have to throw in the trash can. I don't want that. So that's problem number 1. Problem number 2 is I have absolutely zero, and when I say zero, I mean zero ideas of what to do with the unexpected hero. Now, it's interesting because I did have just kind of like a little quick catch-up call with the editor. And the one thing that the editor told me was like, I really would like to see in a book, in one of these books, and since this is the last one, where Julian and Mina don't get separated. They are together throughout the whole book. Because in every book, they get separated. Every single book, they get separated, right? So, yeah, that was like a gauntlet being thrown down, like, challenge. Can you write book 4 and have Julian and Mina together tackling something together for the whole entire book? I don't know. And since I have bupkis on ideas on how to wrap up the series, yeah, I don't think that this is a good candidate for Nanowrimo. So we're going to put a little X right here. Okay. So, well, all right, let's think about what I did last year, right? I wrote a sweet romance, which still needs to be edited. So Luke and Sierra's book from last year, it needs to be edited. Now, if I want to do something in the vein of that book, because it was about a group of firefighters, so each firefighter would end up having his own story, right? I don't want to spend Nanowrimo on a revision project. I would much so prefer to use Nanowrimo to write the first draft of something. So if I do a sweet romance and try to pick up another one of the firefighters and kind of tell that person's story, it would be one of the other firefighters, and then you're probably going to shelf with Luke and Sierra's story until I wrap up Heroin Paradise, and then I could be able to go back and kind of look at those. But the good thing about doing something like that is then I would have 2 books that have already been rough draft written, and y'all know me, and if you don't know me, if this is your first time checking out a video, I don't like the initial writing process. The magic happens in the revision, right? I am a revision queen. I love, 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 love revising my stories. So that would give me 2 sweet romances in the hopper that I could go back and revise and have 2 books ready, right? So that's a possibility. I'm not gonna put an X on this one. I'm not gonna put an X on this one at all. So think about that. So then the other thing that I could potentially do is, I know I'm gonna think this is so funny. Maybe I think it's funny, right? So if you check out my Who is Angel Vane video, I talk about writing crime thrillers for women, and I give you my definition of crime thrillers for women. And I tell you, I don't write police procedurals, none of that detective stuff here. All this kind of stuff is about the criminals interacting with the lay person, how they interact. It's more amateur sleuth, blah, 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 right? So why was I so anti-detective story police procedurals? Well, they were a bit daunting to me. And I'm a researcher, right? So I felt like that is so out of the realm of anything that I really know about, and I don't feel like researching it, so I'm not going to write from that detective's perspective, right? So that was, my thought process back in, I don't know, even when I did those videos, early 2019, that I didn't want my crime thrillers for women to be defined, including a detective. Well, yeah, I kind of evolved a little bit from then. So I actually started reading some of these hot detective books that are out there that sell very well, and it runs the gamut, right? Some of them, just like romantic suspense. So like, you'll read a romantic suspense and some is heavy on the suspense, some is heavy on the romance. And so you kind of run the gamut in between. Well, these detective novels, and very successful, and they run the gamut too. Some are deep police procedural where I feel like, oh my Lord, this person must have been a real police detective for like 25 years to be able to write at this level of detail. And then some of them are kind of police light, like this author probably has only watched cop shows on TV and has used that stuff to build the story. And the interesting thing about that is that they're all equally effective. They all produced extremely good stories. And the intimidation factor of writing a detective type story started to kind of fall away. And I was like, that really fits in my brand. And the other thing that popped up is, okay, I finished writing The Fallen Hero. So a little bit of a spoiler alert, but not too much because I think I've already spoiled this stuff already. So the book is called The Fallen Hero because guess what? Julian is gonna fall, right? He's gonna fall literally and figuratively in every way that I can think of him falling. So he is actually going to be arrested. So he goes from being a hero to being a criminal. So that's a big fall for him. And then he also had a physical fall, like, because the book is based off of The Fugitive, right? That was my masterwork that I started with. He literally has a fall from a waterfall, right? Just like The Fugitive did in the movie, right? So you have all of these kind of play on Julian falling throughout the story in so many different ways, right? So part of him being arrested, well, I had all of these clues and different things around how, what the police would be looking into and the stuff that made him look guilty and all this kind of stuff. But I didn't have a detective's perspective. And I was like, well, crap, how are we gonna find this stuff out? So I was like, okay, well, his lawyer could tell him. But then I started to really think, what, if I could tell this, and I thought about getting a detective POV, but I wasn't quite ready yet. But I was like, if I could have a detective POV, a detective going through the clues and what the detective thinks, that would so make it easier to tell the story. So it was a little bit harder to tell the story without the detective, but it really had started me to think about writing a detective story. And so I've been plotting out one, and it's going really well. It's very interesting. And so that's, to me, is interesting, the plot, right? But still early phases of it, but it's been, percolating in my mind. And so that's another option for me to do during NaNoWriMo is the detective story. So it's kind of like a detective thriller, I would say. Or mystery. No, I guess it's more of a mystery. But y'all know me, I like to throw in some chase scenes, some bang scenes. So it's gonna have a little bit of a little more action than just a straight kind of Sherlock Holmes, Agatha Christie type of mystery, right? So I gotta have a little bit more action in that. So that's another option for me, is to kind of do this detective mystery, detective thriller type of book that I've kind of been tossing around in my head. That I could try to tackle that one during NaNoWriMo. Now, now the last thing, so then I was like, okay, but do you really want to get away from Julian and Mina right now, or should you stay in the mindset of writing Julian and Mina so that when you're ready to flow into the unexpected hero, you haven't been jerked all the way out of their story and you still feel immersed in them and immersed in them as characters. Well, I have 3 ideas for novelettes for Heroin Paradise series. So that's kind of my last idea. Some Heroin Paradise novelettes. So these would be short stories around like 40,000 words, which is probably not really a novelette. So let's go with a novella. So because I'm thinking like about the same length of The Hidden Threat. These would be things that I have kind of mentioned in book 1 or book 2, Accidental Hero or Relentless Hero, but have never really quite explained in any further detail, and probably won't explain in the other books because it's just kind of like background stuff that I know about the characters that help me write them, but it's not anything that kind of fits into the plot of those stories. So I have one where I allude to all the stuff that happened previously with Mina and her husband before she moved to St. Basil, but I've never really told that story. So in The Fallen Hero, you'll get a little bit more information about it, but you won't get the full details. I can actually write that out as a novella so that you will see Mina with her husband back in the past and kind of what transpired that led her to come into St. Basil. So one would be a Mina based. So I have a Meanest Story, so this is kind of the option. Then I have one with Julian and Broman and Sunny, right? So, you know, Julian, Broman, and Sunny were all in the Navy together. We know that they have this collective past. We know that Julian had a relationship with Sunny, then Sunny had a relationship with Broman, and then Broman finding out about Sunny and Julian's relationship is what broke them up. That's not a big part of the Relentless Hero, so I'm just telling y'all that. But if you haven't read the book, you'll probably forget that before you even read the book, so anyway. So basically talking about that love triangle and what really happened back then, that could be a novella, right? So I'll just call this the love triangle. Love triangle. I'm not going to even write triangle out. I'm just going to put a triangle. And then the other one would be when the Relentless Hero starts, it talks about Julian and Mina going back to Jacksonville for Christmas, and it kind of mentions some stuff that happened, and you know it was kind of big blow up and it didn't go how they both expected, and so that would be a Christmas story with Julian and Mina with some kind of suspense stuff that happens with them when they were back in Florida, also layered on with like family drama because they get to know each other's family and stuff. So I could do this Christmas based story that I kind of alluded to at the beginning of the Relentless Hero, that I could write as a novella. So I'm going to call that one Christmas. And I'm getting so close to my wall, I'm just like, I'm scared right now. Okay. So now I think of these options, I got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 options, right? So I have hey, try your hand at another sweet romance with one of the other firefighters so you can get another first draft done. One that is a little bit better connected than what you did for Luke and Sierra, so that you're going to go back and do such major revisions, which that one's going to need major revisions. Then the next one is the detective mystery that I've been working on, kind of plotting on, you know, here and there, picking that up full steam and seeing if I can crank out a first draft of that. Then there's Heroin Paradise novellas, one focused on Mina's history, one focused on the love triangle between Julian, Sunny, and Broman, or one where it's Julian and Mina at Christmas time in Jacksonville, meeting each other's parents and also getting involved in something that is really suspenseful that I would have to figure out. So those are kind of 5 options that I think I can choose from, but please let me know what you think. Drop me some comments. Let me know which one you think I should pursue. I'm really interested, you know, I need some help because I literally only have the 31 days of October to like figure this out. To 1, figure out which one, and then 2, plot that baby so that on November 1st, I can hit the ground running. Running to start writing that draft. So, If you want to continue to keep up with me and all the ups and downs that I go through as I write and publish new books, click the subscribe button. Then don't forget to click that little silver bell so you won't miss when I'm doing a video. And I will see you next time.